You guys, welcome to Sick of Pricks, a type 2 diabetes podcast. I'm Mary, your diabetes bestie, and today we're talking tech, which is something that can either feel like a superpower or cause you to dive headfirst into a mental breakdown. This episode is called Tech, Trackers, and Data Overload, Finding Our Sanity with CGMs and There's an App for That culture. If you have ever opened your health app or MyFitnessPal or your numbers tracker or your food log or your workout log or stared at your CGM graph like it was a report card, this episode is for you. Let's start with the truth. Tech can be amazing. It is amazing. It is so cool how far things have come. And CGMs honestly have changed my life. I've had one type or another for probably the last 7 years, and they took so much guesswork away. They helped me connect dots that I never would have realized otherwise. You know, it's really hard to pinpoint exactly how different behaviors and different foods affect your body, and a CGM just makes it so much easier to recognize those patterns. But the flip side of that is that the tech can stress you out. It can be so overwhelming and make you feel like you're doing everything wrong when you feel like you're doing everything right. And I think no one warns you when you get a CGM or when you start using all the apps that you're going to have this emotional response. For me, I get data overload. Like all the beeping and all the alarms and all the notifications and all the ups and downs and the graphs it's a little triggering if I'm honest. So it's like you think you're getting this tool, but then you have like this little tattletale that sits on your arm 24/7 that tattles on you every time you make a decision that maybe doesn't serve your body the way you think it's going to. And it's like you have this surveillance ice, right, that lives with you. And we're going to talk about that today, how to handle that constant reminder or constant alerting to every single choice that you make, from your food to your water to your activity to your mood, your stress, everything. It's not that the tool is a problem. It's our relationship to it and how we view the data, our perspective on the data, okay? Most of us are handed the text, told to use it, but not really understanding that you can create boundaries with your technology. And I'm going to share with you real quick before we move forward what I do to give myself a break. So if you have a CGM, you know it lasts a certain number of days depending on what device you have. I have a Dexcom 7 and it lasts for 10 days. And after those 10 days, say it wears off, say it expires at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. I don't put on another sensor until Wednesday morning. And I do that to give my body and my mind, honestly, a break, because I just want to be disconnected. And I realize that not everybody can do that. Obviously, if you are on insulin or if you are someone who swings high and low dramatically, you're not going to want to go that long without it. For me, I feel safe doing that. That's something you can talk to your doctor about and see what they suggest. For me, I need that little breather to not have to. It's not that I don't think about diabetes. I'm just not connected to it 24/7. If I need to check my blood sugar, I have the old school glucometer. I use it in the morning for my fasting blood sugar, but I just need like 12 hours, guys. Like, I just do. So let me know in the comments or shoot me a DM. Let me know if you do something like that to give yourself a little break from the technology, because for me, it's a necessity. I do it every single time. So the reason the numbers can get under your skin is because somewhere along the way, someone trained us trained us to believe that our worth is somehow tied into how good our numbers look. Our A1C, our weight, the calories, the steps, the minutes in range, okay? The trends of your glucose. Your whole life sometimes feels like it's inside charts and graphs. And if you grew up as the people pleaser, the perfectionist, the good student, the high achiever, then you already know any sort of score becomes emotional. I know you hear me, my people are out there. So when your CGM buzzes, you don't think to yourself, oh, that's good to know. You think, what did I do wrong? Am I right? I'm right. Okay, so the thing is, though, you didn't do anything wrong. You're a human being, and our bodies respond to stress, hormones, sleep, weather, illness, adrenaline, excitement, and yes, food. It shouldn't feel like failure. It should feel like information. But when you're drowning in this data, like I was saying, I feel data overload. Everything starts to feel like you're at work and you're getting your performance review, right? Where they're going to rate you superior, excellent, poor, whatever. And it can really feel exhausting. Let's talk about the signs that the data is running the show instead of supporting you. Maybe you are checking your apps obsessively. Maybe you feel anxious after every alert. Maybe you only feel proud when the line is steady. Maybe you avoid all the foods you actually enjoy. Or you find yourself planning your day around preventing alarms. You turn into a detective every time your number changes by even just a little bit. Or maybe you're someone who ignores the data completely because it feels like too much pressure. All of these things, hear me, all of these things are completely normal. For real. You're not being dramatic. You're not failing at diabetes life. You are having a very human response to something that was not really designed with emotions in mind. Okay? The tech companies, they built these tools based on our biology, but we live based on our psychology. And that gap is why so many people get burned out. Let me give you one analogy that I always come back to, okay? Your CGM is not a morality meter. It's not a grade or a scoreboard. I want you to think of it like a weather app. So, weather is unpredictable, much like our blood sugar. Sometimes it's stormy, sometimes it's a little chaotic out there, sometimes the morning is crystal clear and then the afternoon brings crazy thunderstorms, okay? None of that means that you're doing diabetes wrong. Your job is not to chase perfect graphs. Your job is to stay informed, adjust when you need to, and for the love of all things holy, stop, please. I'm saying please, stop treating a temporary rise like the universe is ending, okay? If your blood sugar spikes at a restaurant, that doesn't mean you made a bad choice. It means you had a human experience. You ate food. You live in a body. The body is responding, and none of that is shame worthy. P.S. It's going to come back down, okay? So how do we find sanity with all the texts, all the tech, all the apps, okay? Here's how you have to shift your mindset around all the tech. You get to choose your notifications. Turn off the alerts that make your stress worse instead of better. You don't need your phone screaming at you every time you hit 130. Make those range goals realistic and make those alerts work for you. Pick some check-in moments, not constant monitoring. Decide when you're going to look. Is breakfast, lunch, and dinner enough for you? Think of it as you would your regular traditional glucometer, okay? When I did not have a CGM, I would check my fasting blood sugar, okay? And then I would check 2 hours after a meal, either breakfast, lunch, or dinner, depending on what I was eating. I would sometimes check before exercise or after, and I would sometimes check at bedtime. Okay, so I had key moments where I checked my blood sugar. So unless you are looking for a pattern and you're playing detective over something that is going on, pick times to look at your graph. You don't need to be constantly connected to it all the time. Your brain deserves some quiet. Now, every time you see a number, ask yourself this question: is this information or is this judgment? If it feels like judgment, that's a story you learned somewhere and you can relearn a different one. Next, I want you to try to focus on trends instead of moments. One spike means nothing. One dip means nothing. One weird overnight stretch means nothing. You're looking for patterns, not perfection. Take a break if you need them. Like I said, you are not a robot. If the tech is messing with your mental health, if it feels too much, it is absolutely okay to take a breather. Remember that tech is a tool. It is not a teacher. You do not exist to please an app. The app exists to support you. When you feel overwhelmed by the numbers, it can feel like a lot. And you know what I tell people all the time? If your app is making you feel like crap, it might be time to rewrite the rules. The goal is not to watch every single moment of your life. The goal is to learn enough that you can live your life with more freedom, not less. Because freedom is the point. Peace is the point. Living your life is the point. And if a CGM or a meal tracking app is making you feel more judged than supported, then the tool needs adjusting, not you. There was a time in my life where I was completely addicted to MyFitnessPal. I would not let a morsel of food touch my lips until I logged it in the app. And I praised myself for being so disciplined about it. But really, I was obsessed. And I remember logging in a certain number of days, and then I missed a day. And I was so bent out of shape that I could not or did not log my food that day. And you guys, we should not feel so crazy reliant on all this technology that we cannot find peace without it. As we wrap up, here is what I want you to take with you. Intention is choosing to learn from your data without letting it control you. Reality is knowing your blood sugar will never look the same every day because your life doesn't look the same every day. You can eat the exact same thing every single morning for breakfast, and I promise you, 2 hours later, you're never going to get the same number, even if you're doing the exact same thing. That is just how our bodies work. Okay, grace is allowing yourself to live anyway, to enjoy food, to breathe, and to stop apologizing for having a beating heart and a fluctuating glucose line. You can hold all three: intention, reality, and grace. You can use the tech without letting it run the show, and you can pay attention without spiraling. You can live your life without trying to get a gold star from your CGM. It is not a living, breathing thing that is going to give you some sort of emotional feedback. It is exactly what it is: technology. It does not have a brain. It does not have a heart. It does not have emotions. It is simply data. Okay? At the end of the day, diabetes management is not about perfection, and thank goodness it isn't, because we would all be a hot mess. It is about partnership. It's about paying attention to your body with curiosity instead of criticism. And you, friend, are allowed to live a life that feels bigger than your data, because spoiler, it is. You guys, that's it for today's episode of Sick of Pricks. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps more than you know. And hey, if you're ready to connect with people who actually get it, come join my Facebook community, Sugar Mama Strong. It's a safe space for support, accountability, and real conversations about health, goals, and life. You can also follow along on Facebook and Instagram for more daily motivation and updates. Everything is linked in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.